Hey, hey, hey. So you won't get to see my face, which is probably a good thing. But people let me know in the chat if the audio is coming through, and you should be looking at a modular. Or have I lost track of the chat and I need to reload it? That's a good question. That may be the case. Oh, I'm 5x5. Thank you, Soup. All right. Okay, good. All right. So today, audio is fine, but the pic is frozen. Hello. Let's see. You're right. Hello. Yeah, it is. You're right. We seem to have lost camera activity. Hang on a second. Hold on. Let me try and reconnect to the camera. One moment. Let me turn this back up to entertain you while I play Camera Boy. Yeah, we lost connection to the camera. Well, hold on. Let me try and wake it up and get it to go back to sleep. Are you in Do Not Disturb mode? You are not. You are now. There we go. Let's try that again. Hold on a second. Everything is a process. And you gotta follow the process in the appropriate order, you know? So hold on a second. Let's see. Oh, now the chat has decided to flip over to this thing too. There we go. Nothing's ever simple. Let's add the camera back. There we go. Guys, I'm having trouble here. Hang on a second. It's not happy. Oh, I know why. Hang on. I may have to kill the stream and restart it. My streaming software refuses to connect to the camera now. Hang on a second. No. Sorry, gang. I gotta kill the stream, and I will restart it. So hang on a second. All right. Now, how's the stream now? Let me know if you guys can see anything. How's that? Is that a yes? Video and audio are live. Great. All right. Give me one moment to put the chat back up on the big screen. There we go. Stream health is good. All right, cool. All right, so big hand. That's a wabbit hand there. All right, so you all may need to refresh your browsers if you're not seeing anything, but the stream says it's healthy here, and some people saying video and sound is okay. So, all right. Whew. All right, hey, welcome to Synth Seeker. My name is Luke. What are we doing today? Bring this down. So this is a modular Berlin School Pluck building. What am I doing with modular stream? The patch you're looking at, you are not hearing. You're hearing that patch over there. All right. This patch, I'm about to yank and build up from scratch. And we can talk about how I'm making, what I'm doing for Berlin School Plucks, because that was sort of the goal today. All right. Let me quickly say hello here. Quattro Bagina, Casual Noises, Dr. Cynthio, Leandert. That's a new one. Welcome. Let's see. Psycho Pompos, Maurice. Hey. Starfield screensaver on the Metropolix. Yeah, for sure. Okay. So let me just get started because the Super Bowl's coming and we're doing prep for that and things like that. So let me do this. I'm going to yank all this actually. So we're going to go in reverse order. Pardon my giant hand, right? Let's see if we can back this up. That's the best I can do. So from my end, it looks clean enough that you can actually read like the labels on the jacks and things like that. And if not, well, this is a failed experiment if that's the case. But what we're going to do is we're going to build up this patch from nothing. So let me start it, or stop it, I should say. Clock endeth. And let's see. All right, so I'm going to pull it in reverse order. So we're going to pull the modulation out. And I should have done this in advance, but I was like, I was rushing, trying to get everything done, and also making baked beans and preparing grilled chicken and all that good stuff. My father will be here in a little while, a few hours. But some of these I'm just going to leave hanging. All right. And some not. I'm going to talk about how I build modular, which is not the right way, probably. And really, from there, we're also going to pull. We'll start here. Well, we'll do from there backwards. All right. So this is one voice is what I'm going to build here. It's one voice. It's a 3 oscillator voice. See these giant fingers? Trying to get into these tiny, tiny little jacks. I should probably go 5U, right? Synthesizers.com. That won't be expensive. But it will be easier for me to get my hands in. So the way I do modular is I build a patch that's designed to be an instrument, and then I generally don't change it when I'm playing. Like a lot of people, do performance where they patch live and things like that. I do not do that. Okay, so I build a system that has some control points that I then use to manipulate the performance as it's rolling. But I generally don't reach in and play with the cables and do what I'm doing here, which is a mess. Mostly because my hands are just huge, right? And there's no graceful way to do this. All right. So All right. That. And that one shouldn't have even been there. I'm going to take that out completely. Okay. So, where are we going? Will Taylor be on time? I don't know. My wife has got Taylor Swift bingo that we're going to play. So, like, you know, if Kelsey scores, that's 1x on the bingo thing. So, hey, Wabbit. So, yeah. STG's new things is a good gateway drug. I don't know what the new thing is, Soup, but you'll have to let me know. All right, so this is where we're at. This is sort of the sort of base system. Now, this is audio, right? We're going to take, this is a single voice, okay? So what we're going to end up doing, where is it? Oh, it's gone. Oh, well, I'll use this one. So because my fingers are huge, right, I'm looking for a little fidelity in my pointing. So pointing. And so this is a single voice, okay? It's a 3 oscillator voice. So 3 oscillators laid on top of each other, running through a mixer. You can think of this as like a modular mini Moog, in that there are 3 oscillators. They're going to run into a mixer. They're going to run into a filter or 2. I think just 1 today, right? There's a VCA that I'm actually going to skip because I kind of let the filter do the VCA duties. There's some envelope generators. Here's our sequencer, okay? And this is a control node for basically doing control offsets. You can reach in. If I reach in, I want to turn a knob to do something in performance, I use this transpose. And then modulation is coming from here on the side. This oct is going to give us 4 modulation sources. This little dope for LFO is going to give us a couple more. And this steppy, way over on the edge, is going to be driving our sequencer. We're going to do something a little different. The Metropolix puts out pitch voltage and gates. We're going to take its pitch voltage and use it in the oscillators, but we're going to let Steppy drive the gates because I like to have a little more hands-on control for what the gates are doing. So we use Steppy for that, and we use the gates from the Metropolix to drive ratchets. So we'll get to that in a minute. Okay. So the vanilla synth at KnobCon. Oh, okay. All right. I don't remember it. KnobCon was a blur. So anyway. All right. Nothing in the chat I need to worry about right now. Okay. So what are these? So my system clock comes, as I've talked about in other streams, clock comes from a module over on the other side. I'm just going to move it temporarily. So hang on, shaky cam time. Ooh. So there's a little teeny 2 HP module there called the ML2 or missing link 2. All right. And what it does is it basically pays attention to the Ableton network, the Ableton Live link network, and puts out clock and resets. And that's what this is. So this is clock. It's coming from that. This is reset. Okay. I feel like I'm in class. Here we go, kids. So essentially, clock and resets are going to drive the sequencer. We're going to take, there's 2 voices in this sequencer. We're only going to use one of them. Okay. We're going to use pitch out of here. We're going to mult it to our oscillators. We're going to use gate to drive the trigger inputs on these so that we get ratchets. We're going to use Steppy over here to drive the actual note, the envelope that's going to be opening and closing our filter. Okay. And then all the oscillators are going to go into this mixer. This is not a complex patch, like at all. Okay. Everything will go into the interface, go into live, and do what it needs to do. But the point is, this is my pluck machine. I've got one voice here. I've got another voice over on the other side. That's my 2 voices for Plucks for doing Berlin School. And then I reach over and, to the other synths that are behind me for, leads and things like that. Or I reach over to the push for bass and things like that. Okay. So that's what we're doing. Hey, Ranjit, good to see you again. Let's see. Happy the modular is getting some love. Yes, it is. All right. So this is going to be a really basic patch. This is basically a 3 oscillator. It's basically a mini Moog. It's 3 oscillators into a mixer, into a filter, skipping the VCA, an envelope for the filter, and then out, right? And then some LFOs to modulate with. It's going to be using the sequencer, all right? So to that end, what do we want to do? We want to let's follow pitch to oscillators, all right? We'll start with that. So we're going to go with our pitch out. Now I've been playing with these little right angle cables, which are nice if you're going to do like a semi-permanent install, but they have their downside too. They actually do kind of get in the way when you have really dense modules. Like they cover up their neighbors with the little right angle thing. And so I've sort of been using them on and off. The jury's out on these. These are from somebody called like Starving Musicians or Starving Students. But I'm going to take that pitch. I'm going to send it to this little Erica Synths precision adder mult. All right, so it's going to split that into 3 outs. I've got an octave up and down switch if I need to do sudden octave changes. Although with these Plaits, with Plaits and the beehives, I have a knob that controls octave right now anyway. So, all right, so let's start running some cables. So basically I want to get pitch down into the volt per octave inputs of all of these. You're going to be looking at my hairy knuckles the whole time. I'm really sorry about that. So my wife thinks they're quite attractive, but you probably aren't that interested. And I think this one needs a little bit more length. Volt per octave. There we go. All right. So there's our pitches. Okay. I'm going to try and get, so I tend to patch def. Like I design it, I patch up everything through the signal path, and then I turn it on. So I'm sorry if you really want to hear something just droning in the background. Turn on a political talk show or something. We'll get there in a second. Okay, I'm going to go fast. All right, so this is our pitch being multed, going to our oscillators. Okay, we're not going to worry about modulation right now. Let's take our oscillator outputs. Now, Plaits is interesting. I'm going to be using Plaits in this little FM mode. I'm going to use it's little DX7 modes. And the way that works is we know we're going to be using ratchets to trigger the trig inputs, and that causes the notes to alternate between the out and the aux output. So you actually get 2 notes ringing over each other, which is really cool, especially, I mean, it's not, well, I guess it's become very common in modular. At the time it wasn't. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of these. This is a mult cable, right? So it's basically got 2, it's a Y basically. So I've got 2 over here and 1 here. And I'm just going to run both the out and the aux out into here and run that over into channel 1 of my mixer. Boop. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. All right. And I'm going to repeat that again with this second beehive. Now people are like, never buy the same module twice. Never like find a module and then just buy a bunch of them, because I think there's some risk there that gets multiplied. If some, because human nature in modular space is to buy shit that you don't necessarily understand or think you understand. And what happens is you end up wasting a whole lot of money. I'm going to run these through here. I like to keep my cables out of the way of Metropolix, right? So which one was which? That one. There's our 1 and our 2. All right. You end up buying stuff you don't need. And for this third voice, I'm actually just going to use the single out. If all 3 of them ratcheted at the same time, it gets a little much, because ratchets are kind of like accents. So what I'm going to do is just use these 2 are going to have their ratchets get to the mixer. This one, just the primary note each time is going to get to the mixer. And what do I need? Something smaller. Again, sorry for my giant hands. All right, there we go. All right, so these are going into this IntelliGel mix-up. Nice little mixer. Not the most feature-rich mixer, but it gets the job done, and I like it. And it was the right price. All right, so we've got our 3 oscillators are receiving their pitch, gets multed. They get their pitches. Their audio is getting entered into the mixer. All right, from the mixer, we're going to run into this little WASP filter, which this is my first time using the WASP filter. I've only I was watching Synchrotron, and I'm not going to run in stereo. I was, oh, no, wrong length. I was watching Synchrotron and listening to his use of the wasp filter, and I really liked it. And so I went to order one, and before I ordered it, I was cleaning out my closet, and it turns out I had one already, and I'd forgotten. Just kind of sad. So it was like still in the box. I'm like, oh, there's something that I got and put on the shelf. Said I'll use that one day, and then promptly forgot I bought it. So we're going to run the mix of all three of these into the wasp filter, and then the wasp filter is literally just going into the audio interface. Okay, that's that. And as far as opening and closing that wasp filter, we are going to, oh, the one thing I forgot to mention, I have pre-wired this envelope generator. Its gate is coming from the Steppy over here. It's already wired together. So Steppy over here is running behind the modules and popping out here and going to drive that gate. And I like to, because this is like an installation, I generally, cables that I know I'm going to run, like infrastructure cables, so clock and things like that, these are doing the same. You'll see they disappear into this gap in the enclosure, and they run behind everything. I'm just experimenting with that to keep things a little bit neater. I haven't had any problem. There's no like signal crosstalk. None of these runs back there are getting anything. But this enclosure is also like 10 inches deep, so it's not like it's a skiff. There's a lot of room in there, and everything's fine. So let me just check on the chat real quick. Let's see. Hey, everyone. Tracy, hey. Why cables split, not mix? Actually, in this case, they will mix. They actually mix. It works fine. So I'm not sure. So can't use Y cables to mix, only split. That is, I have empirical evidence here that is not true. So I'm sorry. As far as audio signal's concerned, it works fine. You may lose a decibel or two, whatever, that is. Someone who's got an electrical engineering degree, pipe up. Dubstation, if you have that degree, you can explain why. But they work fine. So takes these outputs and runs them together into the mixer. So, anyway, I'll demonstrate in a second. You can never have enough Plaits. Yeah, so why do I have so many Plaits? So 3 Plaits. Over here, there's 2 Braids and a vert iter legio over on the other voice. The reason I have Plaits is because they, I want to say they stay in tune. They do stay in tune. They're still a bitch to tune, right? The problem I have with Plaits is, if you're using the trigger input, you cannot, normally you can use the FM knob as a fine tune on Plaits. You can adjust, you get the coarse tuning in with the main knob, frequency knob, and then you fine tune with this FM knob. But if you are using the trigger input, the FM knob, that triggers the internal modulation AD envelope, which when this is not at 0, this applies that AD envelope to the pitch. So it screws with your pitch. You can only use this for fine tune if you're not using trigger input. And I want to use a trigger input. So I have a love-hate relationship with Plaits. I wish this design had a coarse and fine tune knob. So over on the other side, I'm using Braids, which has a coarse and fine tune knob. But the reason I go with I like digital oscillators. Basically, they just stay in tune, so I don't like to fuck with it. So yeah, I have a lot of Plaits. I might if this gets annoying, because like it's still, I have one of these beehives. The frequency knob it wasn't mounted correctly, or it's just it's just not as variance in the component quality, and for whatever reason, this one beehive is a bitch to get in tune. It like jumps back and forth. It'll be 5 cents too high, and I give it a tiniest nudge, and now it's 5 cents too low. Nudge it back, 5 cents too high. I have a lot of trouble getting it right on there, which means that this beehive is a candidate for being replaced, or, well, it's a candidate for being replaced. So we'll see what happens. Let's see. Advantage of doubling up is you understand. Yeah. The other thing is, I like So Plaits, like this particular platform's really nice. Like I like FM sounds. I like the DX7 stuff, and 3 banks of DX7 patches is just too good to pass up, especially for the price. So anyway, you might get some phase cancellation on the audio, but it'll work. Thank you, Garen. Using Y cables for control is probably a bad thing. Yeah. Well, for CV, right? It's effectively like a mult, and you're gonna lose your pitch will be off if you do it that way, right? But anyway, it works. You'll hear it. I'll demonstrate it, right? All right, so let's keep going. So we've got our CV into our oscillators. We've got our audio into our mixer. We've got our mixer into our filter, and our filter's going into here. So technically, we should be able to hear something. If I turn the clock on, let's see what we got. Okay. Unless I've forgotten something. Let's see. Clock's running. Steppy. Steppy's got stuff. Let's see. I see our clock running. I see our pitches going through. It's in the mult. It's to our oscillators. Our oscillators are into here. Our levels are up. Yep, that's open. Our filter is not getting modulated. So, all right. So we go from our envelope into our CV input for our filter. There we go. Let's see. Let's play with our... That sounds terrible. Let's see. Let's just say we'll stay with one voice. Let's see, here we go. This is mostly, oh, I'm adjusting the left. I'm adjusting envelope 1, but I plugged it in envelope 2. I'm like, why is this not doing anything? Because that's normal. All right. Let's bring in another. So that's one oscillator running through. Let's bring in another one. Okay, now it's going to sound a little muted. We're not triggering any of the trigs, right? So we're not getting any of the FM behavior, right? All right, so let's plug some of that in. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the gates out of Metropolix, which normally would drive our envelope, but we're driving it from Steppy. All right, we're going to plug it into this little mult here. And we're going to drop these up into our gate inputs, and we should hear something right away. Oh, yeah. Next. Let's turn on our third oscillator. Make it sustain a little bit more. All right, so now we've got some sound. This sequence is running, right? We're getting these gates are driving our triggers. It's playing this pattern on Steppy. I'm going to move this over just a little bit. All right. So if I turn these off, right, so this is our gate pattern. Okay. And so we put in, this I like because it's a little bit more immediately controllable. And it's easier to see than the gate sequence on, it's easier to predict than the gate sequence from the Metropolix. So what I'm doing is, so basically I've got an eight stage sequence in here, but only 4 stages are playing. Okay. And I'm using this knob here to offset which stage is the starting stage. So if you watch the lights, let me move it back. All right. So only these 4 stages are triggering. Actually, a little too far. There we go. These 4 stages. If I dial it back, you'll see them slowly move back this way. So there's like the middle 4. Right? Now, if I wanted to do like classic Berlin School duckas, which honestly I'm getting kind of tired of, but that's okay. It's a good example. You would set up your gate sequence to play 8th notes, right? So let's just do this. All right. Then we'll set our stage length to just use the first 3 stages. And we'd set this up to be like root, which is E, and then a 5th, and then an E above. All right. Now these stages are not moving. They're receiving the same clock. Metropolix and Steppy both are running off the same clock, but Metropolix's divider is currently set to 4. So if I bring it down, we start getting something that sounds a lot more. Let's turn off some of these. Something that sounds a lot more like Berlin School. And if we change, right now it's doing this pedal point where it's going back and forth. And so we change the order down to linear. All right, and then we get our sort of more classic Berlin School-y stuff. That's where you're at. So, but Metropolix, I like to screw around with, and I really like this pattern called pedal point. And we'll change our length back to 4. And really, what remains is modulation, right? So we've got Oct over here. Oct is here. Get the pointer. Oct. I feel like Vanna White. Here we go. It's a brand new car. Oct is already, 4 channels of Oct are already being routed back over to the other voice, right? But we're going to take 4 of these, and I'm literally just going to drop them onto the timbre and morph modulation inputs on these first 2 plats. And then we'll turn up their modulation just a little bit. Again, giant fingers, tiny knobs. It's not great. and then while we're performing, so I'm playing, I can reach over and change our gate sequence. Now, I didn't do great sound selection here, right? I haven't, dialed in exactly what I want, so let's see. Let's play with this one. Get these out of the way. Let's see. Now, if I turn the delay off, let me go back here. You can't see me doing this. All right, so here's a stage. This one here. Am I on the right? I am on the right one. Okay. This is going here. Here's our gates going out. Here's our ratchets going out here. Firing to... Well, I put it in level, didn't I? No, I put it in trig. Yeah, it's in trig. Okay. Now I'm not hearing that ratchet. I should be. It may be where I'm at here. Let's see, hang on a second. There it was. I'm not getting it. I'm not sure why. I wonder if it's because of my my modulation may be muting it. Yeah, it's all right. I think it's because my modulation is I don't know. Well, let's do an experiment. Let's go pull it. Let's do this. Let's do the gate directly into our trig. See if it makes a difference. You can hear now, because I have nothing plugged into trig, it's basically, it's running the internal internal modulation envelope on every note, which sounds terrible. I can hear it firing. I hear like the envelope. I wonder if it's gate length. Nope, it's not gate length. Well, let's do this. We'll continue to conduct an experiment. We'll take it down to 1. So now it's only going to do one stage. Let's move it over to 4. So those are all firing. And if I turn our sustain out, there they all are. All right, it's because my envelope was closing the filter down and it was muting it. There it is. All right, that's better. So let's put it back to the malt and see if it still works. That's a frightening sound. That's better. So if we turn our delay back on, bring our other voices in. There we go. So there's our sort of Mini-Moog style 3 oscillators into a mixer, into a filter, into the system. And we're using Steppy to drive our filter opening and closing, and we're using the gates from Metropolix to do the triggers. Let me bring this down again. And then we can play over it. Can't see me, but I'm reaching over to the synths behind me. Anyway, so that's how that voice gets set up. It's a little quacky. A little too much resonance. Let's bring it. Let's bring in the other voice. Change our pattern around. We'll do a little steppy cam. So we take this all the way down to 1. That's voice 2. All right. We flip over to the first bank. This is voice 1. Back to Steppy for voice 2. voice 1. Back to voice 2. Adjust our stage starting point. And that's that. So this is a Berlin School pluck machine, basically. That's the point of this modular, is basically for me to have a voice here running off of Metropolix, a voice here running off Metropolix, my modulation in the middle, and I didn't even bother to hook it all up. It's still not quite all there. I'm looking for some more things. I have a disting here. It's in LFO mode. I'm just gonna keep a disting in the rack and just never patch it. And I'll allude to having used it on the weekends and things like that, but it'll never be on camera because it really because it's fun to tease Andy Synchrotron. So there is a disting here. It's a Mark IV and it is in LFO mode. So sorry. And there's a little dough for LFO, and then this Oct. I like Oct for this kind of stuff. Oct is nice for slow organic modulation. I mean, that's what it's good for everything. But it lacks the ability to reset, which bugs me. So I will probably invest in another LFO with reset and a CV, maybe CV control of some of the other parameters, right? Of like depth maybe, or offset. That might be nice to be able to offset it, because Oct basically goes from full negative to full positive, and there's no, you can attenuate it, right? But I can't, I'd have to get another module in and do some CV math to offset it, which is fine, but it would be nice if it was all in the same module. Anyway, I'm not complaining about Oct. It's a good thing. I'll look at the expander. I need I would like, I may get a woggle bug, honestly, or whatever the modern equivalent is for, for randomness. Right, Andy piped up in the chat. Could you use the disting for that? So a couple different random sample and holds in the disting. Let's see. Steppy has 4 channels of gate sequencers. Yeah, Steppy has. I've only read like the opening of the manual, so it's got 4 channels A, B, C, D of gate sequences, and each of those channels can be up to 64 steps in length. So there are pages 1 through 4. So right, I'm just using 1 page of each, 16 steps. And then there's things like gate length control and your individual clock divider, swing, delay, probability. You can shift it, offset it, and it'll save and load. I think like eight sort of snapshots of its current settings. So it's nice. But honestly, I will say this: Steppy is great, right? But I still have the old micro step. I don't know if that's in focus or not. This is the original Steppy. This was 2 sets of up to 16 gates, 16 steps in length. And this works just as well. And I think you get one of these for like $80 or $90. Just make sure. I actually saw one on Reverb. It said it was a micro step revision 2. But the picture, it was a revision 1 hardware and had a sticker on one of the proms that said revision 2. And I don't know if that's real or if that was bogus, because revision 2 has these nice, concisely made boards. The version 1 had a board that was like this deep. So just be careful, caveat emptor, right over there on Reverb. But, whatever. Tracy, you have a lot of LFOs already. I don't have that very many, so we'll see where it goes. I've got 3 outs on the Metropolixes, and they're the Metropolix each has, I forget how many modulation lanes, and 3 of them can come out of Metropolix itself. So I'll probably end up doing something like that as well. The Metropolix feature set is like really underutilized for me, right? But anyway. And if, in case you're wondering what this is a precision adder sort of with offsets. But I'm using it, I plan on using it as using the offset knobs because they feel really nice. People are so horny about their knobs. Oh wait, that totally doesn't work out of context either. People get they fetishize the feel of certain knobs. These knobs feel good. I say people do this. Yeah, that'd be me. These knobs feel really good, and as far as they'll send offsets out that I can drop into Metropolix or whatever to use them as control points. So that's what I'm going to use that for. This is the transpose knob module by Kaona, Kaona, and I wanted to use it as a precision adder, except that it's not very precise. So I don't know if the one that I got was a bad one or not, but I have 2 of them, and they're both equally bad. So don't use them as precision adders unless you can validate with. I mean, I'm plugging a multimeter in. Who knows how precision is defined from person to person, right? I don't want, like, when I flip this on-off switch, as far as up down for adding a volt, basically in this position it's a 3-position switch, minus, neutral, and positive, and it will add or subtract whatever this voltage is set by this potentiometer. The problem is when I offset this, if this is, say, 1 volt, I would expect that adds 1 volt and that subtracts 1 volt, but it doesn't. This adds like 1.05 volts, and this subtracts 0.995. It's not right. and for certain modulation it's fine, but for pitch it's a real problem, and they're selling it as a pitch thing. So I don't know, I'm using it as a control node, and I have OCD issues around tuning, so whatever. So Tracy, my shifts your wish list, I'm sorry. Do you use the same delay rate for all voices? I am right now, Cosmic Overtones. I'm using the standard Ducka dotted eighth on top of what I've got going here. But you could change that, and it's all done in Ableton, right? I figure I've got, here, let's do this. Let's bring this down. We'll do a demonstration. All right, so you can't see this, but where's my echo? All right, so I have it set so that we don't do the analog emulation re-pitch tuning when I change delay time, because I was doing transpositions a couple during January and I didn't want it to retune. So you're not going to hear wow when I change this, but right, so there's your 16th note, 32nd. What I could do is, instead of running all these voices into a mixer and then running that summed signal into the interface, I could run individual ones into the interface and then apply different effects to each one. I was doing that all through January, but this is just because I'm sort of aggregating this down into a pluck machine. I don't need 6 voices of plucks. I just need 2. So I'm just aggregating them and then applying. This has a delay. This other one has its own delay. So if I bring the other voice back in, right. So this one's dotted eighth delay. This one is now 5/16 delay. Right. So when you layer them, it sounds pretty good. So I hope that answers your question there, Cosmic Overtones. I'm not doing any better with that knob thing. I don't know what you're talking about, Garen, or I don't know. I may have missed I've forgotten what I was talking about when that chat thing came in, so I don't have context. Dr. Cynthia, have a good one. Tracy says, I just bought a very expensive unit with exactly one knob, which I hate. Oh, like one knob. It has only one knob and you hate it, or it has a bunch of knobs and one of them's a bad one. Soup asks, are there any adders in Euro with stepped pots? That would be real nice. I think Dopefer makes one with a stepped, it's a 3-position stepped pot. I could be wrong, but I'm sure they're out there. Would be nice. So these Erica synths, I don't know if this is black or not, but they're precision mults. These work well. They've got up an octave, neutral, and then down. That works well enough. The thing is with Plaits, I've got octave on the knobs themselves, right? So this one, we just... Right, it's on the unit itself. You can just do digital. Because they're digital, you can just arbitrarily go and you don't have to worry about tuning at all. So... yeah, the Erica, these, I like these. Now, I'm going to be, back when I was building the modular, I got the Erica Synth Pico oscillators, and they're terrible. I returned all of them. I actually asked for 4 of them and for Christmas, and my wife got them, and some subterfuge occurred, and I tested them before Christmas, and they will not... they're untunable, basically. So if you need precision tuning, or you're like me, you've got a bug in your bonnet about being really in tune, because even now this is not quite as in tune as I would like it to be. But the Erica Synth Pico, they're not black. They're not the black line, which I think the black line is a much higher quality than the Pico line. But the black, this little 3 HP oscillators, I return them. They were terrible. Not a fan, so would not repeat. So, all right. So, let's see. Precision voltages. AJH Synth Precision Voltages has stepped pots for octave and note. Ooh, I'll have to go look at that Psychopompus. Hey, Redbox. Let's see. Dope for micro precisions, and they're like magic. Nice. That's cool. That is the one thing. Even with these digital oscillators, the pots warm up. And so the voltage that the pot registers, I don't know if there's stuff in the programming that takes that into account, but they still drift a little bit between sessions, and I have to retune them. It's annoying. It's okay. The Braids stay in tune forever. In fact, the Braids, you tell it lock to A440, and it's like, sure, no problem, done. I may swap beehives for Braids, because Braids are even less hassle. And this, I'll show you the Braids. Here, let's flip it around. Here's a quick demo. All right. Oh, I gotta do some shuffling. Hold on a second. Okay, push. You're gonna have to move over. Excuse me, my friend. All right. So, I don't know whether you can see this or not. I don't have this in a gimbal, right? So it's gonna be like shaky cam. These micro braids, they're Micro Braids SE, and they're from Tall Dog Electronics, which is a local shop here in the Boston area. These are frickin' awesome, and I love them. And the Braids oscillator in general, I really like. Here, let's do this. We're just listening to this one here, okay? All right, get out of the way. This is the Pluck algorithm, right? But let's just run through a couple of these algorithms. Let's start at the beginning. There's only like a billion different algorithms. So this is a CS80 saw. Oh my god, I'm doing a preset video. Let's run through the Braids presets, shall we? Okay. Right. Then it's got basically triangle, saw, square, triangle, saw, square, pulse waves that you can actually hear it on the. And then it'll go between saw and square. There's a nice fold, wave folded. I'm going to turn the timbre modulation up with my tiny, tiny knob. Running Braids at a lower bit rate is nice too. Yeah, the Braids runs at 96 kilohertz by default. You can clock it down, and there's also like bit reduction as well, so you can totally grunge it up. I personally am tired of lo-fi, so this is a pulse train. I don't have time. I'm not going to explain all the algorithms right now because of the modulation. It's going to be atonal. Square sub. It's a square wave with sub. Same with the sawtooth. It's got a synced square. It's being overly modulated. It's got a synced saw. It's got 3 saws that are tunable, so you can tune them to intervals like a little chord machine. Do the same thing with square waves. Right now the tune is being modulated, so it's going to sound weird. Same thing with triangles. Then there's I think 6 triangles. The ring mod. I've got a little too much modulation here. Let me turn it down a little bit. There is a super saw. Hold on. So there's a high pass filter on it, and then how detuned is it? There it is with no detuning. So I mean, if you want super saw, it's kind of nice. I don't remember what this is. Sounds interesting though, and it's even modulated nonsense. It sounds okay. There's something that emulates old toy electronics, so like Speak and Spell. There's a whole bunch of these Z-plane. There's 3 different variants, like low pass, band pass, high pass. There's a bunch of vocal formants. Turn these up so you can hear the formant. Get the LFO at the right rate. Change the pattern a little bit. There's a series of FM, various variants on FM. The Pluck is what I was using a minute ago. Bode, there's a bunch of physical modeling, bode stuff, blown things, fluty things, a bunch of bells, both harmonic and aharmonic, whole bunch of drum stuff. You want your kick, snare, hi-hat. And there's an ass load of wavetables. It's scanning through the tables now because of the modulation. There's also a wave map wavetable in 2 dimensions you can move through. And this is all of the wavetables in the entire thing in a row. Basically, you can just go through every single one with a single modulation. Tunable, noise, and then I don't even remember what the rest of them are. There's like particle clouds and things like that. Anyway, so Braids is awesome. I like Braids, so you can go build your own, etc. This is my favorite oscillator. And if you're going to buy one, buy it from whoever you like. I like Tall Dog. They're good. This is not sponsored, not a shill. Anyway, let's see. And that's about it. How we doing? Yeah, it's 3:11. That's good for today. I'm scanning back and not seeing any questions because, let's face it, I didn't really do anything that complex today. But this is how this is a pluck machine now. That is little Vanna White action. That is a Berlin School Pluck instrument that I'm going to be using going forward because, good God, I need to release some music. And that is the plan going forward now. January was super fun, but it's, and it puts stuff out. And I'm going to do a stream every week, probably more jam oriented. But I got to write some freaking music, right? So I hope that was useful. I have to go do a bunch of cleaning before my father's coming over for the Super Bowl. So we're going to feed him and things like that. And my wife's been quite clear. You need to get out there and clean up the yard before your father comes. So off I go. So everyone, thank you so much. It was very nice for you to be here. Sorry about the beginning of the stream. I just had to reboot the streaming software, but that's the first time that's happened. And now I know that it can be done. You can quickly quit it and restart it. And YouTube is kind enough to just pick up the stream again. So that's awesome. If you came late, you're going to get spanked. No, it doesn't matter. Come and go as you please. Show up for a minute and leave. Show up at the very end. It does not matter. Okay? So thanks, and I appreciate all the time you guys spend with me, etc., etc. I should probably figure out a way to make money from it, but I'm not gonna. It's not that big a deal. All right. Hugs to all, and I will see you around. Have a good one.